everybody, and welcome back. I'm Linda Schulte, the broker owner of Schulte Realty here in the Central Florida area, and we're here talking about title insurance and how to properly convey your home or purchase a home here in Florida. And I'm honored to have Dana Williams with me. Thanks for sticking around with us.
Of course.
And I have a whole bunch more questions to ask you, so get ready. You're with the title company, so main question I need to ask is, what is title insurance?
Title insurance, good question. It is an insurance product. We're a licensed title agent with the state of Florida. Some of you understand that we have insurance, so it may help to make a distinction. We have health insurance and homeowners insurance, for example. Those insure for a future event, something that hasn't happened yet.
Right.
But title insurance covers events from the past. So we're looking at the history of the title to make sure there's nothing as small as an error in recording or as big as an heir who may be there that somebody didn't know about. So we're looking at that history and we're making sure that it is clear so that when the seller conveys title to the buyer, there's nothing that comes from the past to haunt them.
And making sure to the best of our ability that there's no issues. Who typically pays for the owner title policy?
So in our Central Florida area, the seller usually pays, but it's negotiable. Whoever pays for the title insurance policy typically also chooses the closing agent or the title company. But again, it's negotiable. So it's also different in other parts of Florida. In South Florida, it's the opposite. The buyer usually pays and therefore chooses the title agent. Also, an area of the west coast of Florida is like that as well.
It's interesting that Miami-Dade County, it's the buyers who pick the title company, and my sister Betty was in real estate for a super long time. When I got into real estate 14 years ago, we had a conversation. I'm trying to learn the ropes from her, and we kept on talking about the seller title. No, it's not that way. I'm like, she's crazy, because I know it's this way. And I'm like, oh, we're different in different parts. So imagine that. Here in Florida, we do things a little bit differently everywhere. So. But in Central Florida, as Dana mentioned, it's common, and usually the seller does pick the title company and also pays for the owner's title policy as well. So in title, we talked about title insurance, and we know who typically pays for it. But a lot of times, a person who's buying cash, they say, I don't need that. I'm paying cash for that. Is that a true statement?
So it's true. It's not necessary, but it's recommended. The reason that it's recommended is we're looking to make sure of the past history of the title of the home. And I've had situations where someone was trying to sell a home and they were not in fact the owner of that home. So if you're buying cash and it looks like a great deal, you always want to check out and do your homework.
Very good point. To double check to make sure you're buying the property from the person that's the owner of it. And that's all part of what a title company does. They're checking into those things for you as well. There's also something called a lien search. And a lot of times the seller's like, well, I paid all my bills. Why do I need to pay for that? What does a lien search do for the transaction, the seller, or the buyer?
Well, again, what we're doing is making sure that the title is clear as it changes from a seller to a buyer. So it's obviously a benefit to the buyer. They want to make sure there's nothing that is attached to the property that's going to follow forward with them. And a seller is clearing anything that may be an outstanding bill that could be accruing. Because if you have a lien, those things can continue to grow in cost, sometimes by the day, depending on what the municipality is. So,
Correct.
So it's just about clearing the deck, basically, and making sure that everything is clear, clean, and ready to move.
And one thing about the liens, making sure everything's clear, back in the day, there was a point where they didn't have to check the liens, or something was going on at one period, and water bills were being pushed forward to the new owner. Like, wait a minute, I didn't have to pay for it when I bought it. So those are some things that you really got to look into and make sure the title company is really looking into that. Another thing that comes up a lot is permits. So let's say there's an open permit on a home, or it's active, so it's not been cleared out or closed. Is it okay, or is it going to stop a closing from happening if the permit is not closed out?
So it's not a title insurance issue, so it won't stop the closing in that regard. It is really a disclosure matter. So some of those permits might be something just as simple as a fence, but some of them might be a little more important, like an electrical related item or a safety item like a roof. So even though we can close without closing that out, we do want it to be disclosed. And it really benefits the buyer to know about these things because it can be a later expense. Or if it's something that's a safety hazard, obviously everybody wants to know that if they're buying a home. So as long as the permit is addressed, as a title insurance agent, we can close with or without that.
Correct.
But as a disclosure and a safety matter, it's important for everybody to discuss it and decide, what they want to do with that. A buyer can accept it as is, hence we would have an agreement signed, or the seller would, take care of that and clear it out, and we can facilitate that process as well.
And what I always say when it comes down to this about the permits and the liens, what does the contract say? And so I always tell people, go back to your contract, read what it says. We do have some language in there already set, and some real estate agents actually go to the extra level and put in additional terms. So that's what's really important about the permits. So we're going to have more questions for you. So we're going to take a short little break here, and then we'll be back, okay?
Okay.
All right, guys, we're going to take a little short break, and we'll be back with Dana. So stay tuned.